There comes a moment in life when you realize something that changes everything. Not everyone's opinion deserves your attention. For most of your life, you may have been trying to please people, trying to be accepted, trying to fit into expectations that were never truly yours. You listened to what others said about you. You cared about how they judged you. You adjusted yourself just to be liked. But somewhere along the way, you started losing yourself. Because the more you try to satisfy everyone, the further you move away from who you truly are. And the truth is, no matter how much you try, you will never be able to please everyone. There will always be someone who misunderstands you, someone who judges you, someone who doesn't see your value. And if you keep living your life based on their opinions, you will never build a life that truly belongs to you. That is why one of the most powerful decisions you can ever make is this: ignore everyone and start valuing yourself. This does not mean you become careless or disrespectful. It means you stop giving power to opinions that do not help you grow. It means you stop seeking approval from people who don't truly understand your journey. It means you start putting yourself first, not in a selfish way, but in a necessary way. Because if you don't value yourself, no one else will. Self-value is the foundation of everything. It affects how you think, how you act, how you allow others to treat you. When you don't value yourself, you settle. You accept less than you deserve. You stay in situations that drain you. You tolerate disrespect because you don't believe you deserve better. But when you start valuing yourself, everything changes. You begin to set standards. You decide what you will accept and what you won't. You stop chasing people who don't appreciate you. You start choosing environments that help you grow. And most importantly, you stop depending on others to define your worth. Because your value does not come from opinions. It comes from within. Another important truth is that people will always have something to say. If you try something new, they will judge you. If you fail, they will criticize you. If you succeed, they will question you. No matter what you do, there will always be noise. So instead of trying to control what people say, you must control what you listen to. Because what you focus on shapes your mindset. If you focus on negativity, you become doubtful. If you focus on criticism, you lose confidence. If you focus on judgment, you become afraid to act. But if you focus on yourself, your growth, your goals, your mindset, everything begins to change. You become stronger. You become more confident. You become more focused. And that is where your power lies. Ignoring everyone does not mean you shut out the world. It means you become selective. Selective about whose opinions matter. Selective about what you listen to. Selective about where you invest your energy. Because your energy is limited. And every time you waste it on unnecessary opinions, you take it away from your own growth. So if you want to move forward in life, you must learn to protect your focus. Stop explaining yourself to everyone. Stop seeking approval. Stop worrying about what people think. Instead, start asking yourself, what do I want? What kind of life do I want to build? What kind of person do I want to become? Because at the end of the day, this is your life, not theirs. And the moment you truly understand that, you begin to take control. As you begin to understand the importance of valuing yourself, another powerful realization starts to take shape. Most of the pressure you feel in life comes from trying to live according to other people's expectations. From a young age, you are taught to follow certain paths. What to study, what to become, how to behave, and while guidance can be helpful, it can also become limiting when it forces you to ignore your own voice. You may have spent years trying to meet expectations that were never truly aligned with who you are. Trying to make others proud, trying to avoid disappointment, trying to fit into a version of life that feels acceptable to everyone else. But deep down, something never felt right. Because when you ignore yourself, you feel disconnected. You may look like you're doing everything right on the outside, but inside you feel unfulfilled. That is because your life is meant to be lived by your standards, not by someone else's. And this is where ignoring everyone becomes necessary. Not in a disrespectful way, but in a focused and intentional way. You begin to listen to yourself more. You start paying attention to what truly makes you happy, what excites you, what gives you purpose. And slowly, you begin to make decisions that reflect that. At first, this can feel uncomfortable, because when you start choosing your own path, people may not understand. They may question your decisions. They may doubt your direction. They may even try to convince you to go back to what is familiar. And this is where your strength is tested. Will you follow your own path, or will you go back to living for others? Because choosing yourself requires courage. It means being okay with not being understood by everyone. It means being willing to stand alone sometimes. It means trusting yourself even when others doubt you. But this is where real freedom begins. Because the moment you stop living for approval, you start living with purpose. Another important shift happens when you stop taking everything personally. When people judge you, criticize you, or misunderstand you, it often feels like a personal attack. But most of the time, it is not about you. It is about their perspective, their experiences, their beliefs, their limitations. People see the world through their own lens. And when they judge you, they are often projecting their own fears, insecurities, or expectations. If you take every opinion personally, you will constantly feel affected. But when you understand that not every opinion reflects reality, you gain emotional control. You stop reacting to everything. You stop letting words affect your confidence. You stop giving power to negativity. And that allows you to stay focused. Another powerful lesson is learning to be comfortable with being misunderstood. Not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will see your vision. Not everyone will support your growth. And that is okay, because you are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to become who you are meant to be. And that requires you to stay true to yourself, even when it feels uncomfortable. As you continue this journey, you will start to notice a shift in your mindset. You become less concerned with opinions, less affected by criticism, less dependent on approval, and more focused on your own growth. You begin to build confidence from within. Not from compliments, not from recognition, but from your own progress. You start trusting yourself more. You trust your decisions. You trust your direction. You trust your ability to figure things out. And that trust becomes your foundation. Because when you trust yourself, you don't need constant reassurance. You don't need everyone to agree with you. You don't need validation to keep going. You simply move forward. And that is where your power grows. So if you truly want to change your life, remember this: you cannot build a strong life while constantly listening to weak opinions. You cannot grow while constantly seeking approval. You cannot succeed while constantly doubting yourself, so ignore the noise. Focus on yourself and start valuing who you are becoming. As you continue on this path of valuing yourself and ignoring unnecessary opinions, you begin to experience a powerful internal shift. It's not just about what you stop listening to, it's about what you start believing. Because for a long time, your mindset may have been shaped by external voices. What people said about you, how they treated you, what they expected from you. Over time, those voices can become your inner voice. You may start doubting yourself without realizing why. You may hesitate before making decisions. You may feel like you are not good enough even when there is no real reason to feel that way. But now, things are changing. You begin to replace those external voices with your own. You start building self-belief. And self-belief is one of the most powerful tools you can develop. Because when you truly believe in yourself, everything changes. You stop second-guessing every decision. You stop waiting for permission. You stop holding yourself back. Instead, you take action. You move forward with confidence even when things are uncertain. And that confidence does not come from knowing everything. It comes from trusting yourself to figure things out along the way. Another important shift at this stage is learning to be alone without feeling lonely. For many people, being alone feels uncomfortable. They constantly seek company, validation, or distraction. But when you are always surrounded by noise, you never truly connect with yourself. And without that connection, it becomes difficult to understand your own needs, your own goals, and your own direction. When you start valuing yourself, you begin to appreciate your own company. You use your time alone to reflect, to grow, to improve. You begin to enjoy the silence because in that silence, you hear your own thoughts more clearly. And that clarity helps you make better decisions. It helps you stay aligned with your purpose. It helps you avoid getting pulled back into environments that do not serve you. Another powerful realization is that you cannot grow while staying the same. If you want a different life, you must become a different person. And that means letting go of certain habits, mindsets, and even relationships. You may need to let go of the habit of seeking approval. You may need to let go of the mindset of self-doubt. You may need to let go of people who do not respect your growth. And while letting go is never easy, it is necessary, because holding on to what no longer serves you only keeps you stuck. Growth requires space. And sometimes you must create that space by removing what is holding you back. At this stage, you also begin to understand the importance of boundaries. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about protecting your energy. They are about deciding what you will accept and what you won't. When you value yourself, you set clear boundaries. You no longer allow people to disrespect you. You no longer tolerate behavior that drains you. You no longer give your time to things that do not matter. And this changes how people treat you, because people respect you based on what you allow. If you accept everything, you will be treated without respect. But if you set standards, people will either rise to meet them or remove themselves from your life. And both outcomes are beneficial, because you are creating a life that aligns with your value. Another important shift is that you stop chasing. You stop chasing approval. You stop chasing attention. You stop chasing people who don't appreciate you. Instead, you focus on yourself. You focus on your growth, your mindset, your goals. And as you do that, something interesting happens. You start attracting better opportunities. Better people, better situations, because when you raise your standards, your life rises with it. At this point, your confidence is no longer dependent on others. It is built on your own actions, your discipline, your consistency, your progress. And that kind of confidence is unshakable. So as you continue forward, remember this: you don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need everyone to support you. You don't need everyone to believe in you. All you need is yourself, your belief, your focus, your commitment. Because when you have that, nothing can truly stop you. As you continue strengthening your mindset and truly valuing yourself, you begin to notice a powerful transformation. Not just in how you think, but in how you live your life. You are no longer easily influenced. where once you might have changed your decisions based on what others said, now you stand firm. You think carefully, but you no longer doubt yourself just because someone else has a different opinion. This is the power of self-trust, because when you trust yourself, you don't need constant reassurance. You don't need everyone to agree with you. You don't need approval to take action. You don't need validation to feel confident. You simply move forward, and this changes everything. You begin to take control of your decisions. Instead of asking, "What will people think?" you start asking, "Is this right for me?" That one shift in thinking is life-changing because it brings you back to yourself. Another major change at this stage is that you become more focused. You stop wasting time on unnecessary distractions, less time worrying about opinions, less time explaining yourself, less time reacting to negativity, and more time working on your goals, more time improving yourself, more time building the life you actually want. This level of focus is rare because most people are constantly distracted by what others are doing, saying, or thinking. But when you ignore that noise, your mind becomes clear. And with clarity comes direction. You know what you need to do. You know where you are going. You know what matters. And that clarity makes your actions more powerful. Another important realization is that your value does not decrease just because someone fails to see it. For a long time, you may have felt unappreciated. You may have felt like your efforts were ignored, like your kindness was taken for granted, like your presence was not valued. But now you understand something important. Just because someone does not recognize your worth does not mean it does not exist. Your value is not based on someone else's opinion. It is based on who you are, your character, your effort, your mindset. And once you understand that, you stop chasing recognition. You stop trying to prove yourself. You stop seeking attention from people who cannot appreciate you. Instead, you invest in yourself. You build your skills. You strengthen your mindset. You focus on your growth. And that creates real confidence. Not the kind that depends on compliments, but the kind that comes from knowing your own worth. At this stage, you also become more protective of your energy. You realize that not everything deserves your attention. Not every comment needs a response. Not every situation needs your involvement. Not every person deserves your time. And this awareness gives you peace because you stop getting involved in things that drain you. You stop reacting to negativity. You stop allowing external noise to disturb your inner focus. And that peace becomes your strength, because when your mind is calm, your actions are stronger. You think clearly. You decide wisely. You move with confidence. Another powerful shift is that you stop fearing judgment. You understand that people will talk no matter what. If you stay the same, they will judge you. If you change, they will judge you. If you succeed, they will judge you. So instead of trying to avoid judgment, you simply stop caring about it. You accept that it is part of life. And once you accept that, you become free. Free to take risks, free to try new things, free to be yourself without hesitation. And that freedom allows you to grow faster than ever before. At this point, your life is no longer controlled by external opinions. It is guided by your own values, your own goals, your own decisions. And that is where true power lies. Because when you are in control of yourself, nothing outside of you can truly stop you. So as you continue forward, remember this: the more you value yourself, the less you will need validation. The more you trust yourself, the less you will fear judgment. The more you focus on your growth, the less you will be distracted by others. And that is how you build a strong, confident, and successful life.